I saw it with my own eyes. My fiancée, in the back of our apartment building, with a homeless man, his hands all over her while she laughed like it was a joke. Like I didn't exist. Like 5 years together meant nothing. That moment didn't just end our relationship. It erased who I thought I was. It was Tuesday. Cold, wet, and miserable. I had left work early because I wasn't feeling well. Headache, nausea, the usual. My boss told me to get rest, so I stopped by the drugstore, picked up some soup, and decided to surprise Natalie with lunch. We'd been engaged for 8 months. Wedding scheduled for November. We were behind on rent, drowning in bills, but she always said love was enough. I believed her. As I pulled into the lot behind our building, I noticed her car wasn't where it usually was. That struck me as strange. She was supposed to be working from home. She said she had back-to-back Zoom calls all day. I figured maybe she parked on the street. Then I saw her. Not inside the apartment. Outside, near the dumpsters. I almost honked. Thought she might have been taking out the trash. But she wasn't alone. He was filthy. Matted beard. Torn coat. His shopping cart was next to them like a monument to everything I tried to protect her from. She was standing against the brick wall, laughing, her hand on his chest. He kissed her neck. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My whole body locked. She said something to him, something that made him laugh, and then she grabbed his collar and pulled him closer. Her voice echoed in the alley. You taste like danger. I'll never forget that sentence. Not ever. I got out of the car, slammed the door. They both jumped. She turned around, and her face dropped like she'd seen a ghost. She looked at me like I was the one who was disgusting, like I was interrupting her. I asked one question. Just one. Why? She smiled, and said, because you're boring, Connor. And because I knew you'd find out. I stood there, soup bag in my hand, rain dripping from my coat, and she just walked past me, brushed my shoulder, and said, maybe now you'll grow up. I didn't follow her. I didn't scream. I just stood there, watching him light a cigarette with the same hands that had just touched her. That was the moment something broke inside me. I didn't go back inside right away. I sat in my car for almost an hour, soaking wet, holding that plastic bag of soup like it still meant something. Every few minutes, I'd think about going upstairs, packing her things, throwing them into the street. But I didn't. I wasn't built like that. I wanted answers. I wanted to believe she was having a breakdown, that this was some cruel mistake. Around 4:30, I finally went up. She was on the couch like nothing happened, wearing my hoodie, watching TV. When I walked in, she didn't even look up. You're back, she said. You forgot your keys. I stood there in the doorway, trembling. I must have looked pathetic. Water dripping off me, holding that stupid soup bag like a sick puppy. I couldn't even form a sentence. She muted the TV and turned toward me. What? She asked. You want to talk about it now? Go ahead. Let's get it over with. I put the bag down and sat across from her. My voice cracked. How long? She shrugged. Couple weeks. Maybe more. I don't keep a log. With him? She smirked. You mean the guy behind the building? Yeah. What, you jealous? I felt my throat tighten. He's homeless. She leaned forward like she was explaining math to a child. No, Connor. He's free. He doesn't sit in a cubicle all day pretending his life means something. He doesn't beg for love. He just takes it. You should try that sometime. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked if she loved him. She laughed. Love? Don't be dramatic. It's not about love. It's about reminding myself I'm alive. Something you don't do for me anymore. I try, I said quietly. I bring you lunch. I work. She cut me off. Yeah, you do all the right things. You say all the right words. But you're hollow. Safe. Predictable. You make me feel like I'm dying in slow motion. I swallowed hard. I still want to fix this. That's when she burst out laughing. A cold, dry, cutting laugh. You want to fix this? She said. Connor, you just caught me with a guy who lives under a bridge and smells like wet newspaper. And your first thought is, how do we fix it? That's what makes you so easy to cheat on. You think everything's reparable. I felt tears rising. I looked away ashamed. She wasn't done. You're weak. That's the real problem. You think being loyal makes you strong? No, it makes you disposable. You're the kind of man people forget. I stood up slowly, afraid I might collapse if I didn't. My hands were trembling. My voice barely came out. I loved you. She nodded. And that's your tragedy. I went to the bedroom and closed the door. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the closet we were supposed to share for the rest of our lives. The dress she bought for our engagement shoot was still hanging there. And for the first time, I wished I'd never met her. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe peacefully in the next room like nothing happened. At one point, I heard her humming to herself while brushing her teeth, like it was just a regular night, like she hadn't humiliated me in the most degrading way imaginable. Somewhere around 3 a.m., I got out of bed and opened my laptop. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew I couldn't sit still anymore. I searched for things like emotional manipulation, how to make someone regret cheating, and how to legally destroy someone. It was petty. It was desperate. But I didn't care. I wasn't looking for justice. I wanted her to feel what I felt. Small, worthless, invisible. But I couldn't scream at her. I couldn't throw things. I wasn't that guy. I was the guy who cleaned up after her dog, the guy who folded her laundry, the guy who called her mom on her birthday so she didn't forget. And that's exactly what I'd use. I opened our shared drive and started going through everything: wedding vendors, lease agreements, financial records, even the Google Docs she used for freelance work. She always left herself logged in. She never thought I had the spine to even look. First, I found her client list. She edited resumes, wrote fake cover letters, sometimes even completed entire job applications for people, all under her name. She was breaking at least 3 terms of service and 2 federal laws. Next, I checked our lease. My name was the only one on it. The rent came from my account. The internet, utilities, even her phone, everything was in my name. I'd been paying for her entire existence while she made fun of me behind my back. Then I opened her messages. She hadn't bothered to delete them. There were screenshots with her friends, jokes about how gullible I was, how I'd probably cry if I saw her with another man. One message said, "It's like dating a doormat with a pulse." Another read, "He still thinks I'm broken from my last relationship. I just told him that to keep him off my back." The final one that broke me was, "He'd probably thank me for cheating if I told him it helped me heal." That's when I started building the folder. I named it Truth. Inside, I copied every lease, every bill, every client record with a timestamp. I took screenshots of every message, every payment, every file. I created a second email account, one she didn't know about, and I uploaded everything there. Then I started writing a letter, not to her, to her clients, to her parents, to the people who thought she was some kind of wounded genius working on herself. By 6:30 a.m., I had the skeleton of a plan. It wasn't revenge yet, but it was something, a structure, a spine. She walked past the bedroom in her robe, sipping coffee, not even looking in my direction. "You going to work today?" she asked. I didn't answer. She shrugged. "Suit yourself. Don't forget the rent's due." I smiled to myself. It was already paid, but it wouldn't be next month. Not for her. She didn't even notice at first. That's what made it satisfying. I started small. I stopped buying groceries. The fridge got emptier every day. She didn't say anything for a while, just ordered takeout and left the receipts on the table like a trophy. Then I turned off her phone line. She thought it was a service outage. I played dumb. Said I'd call the provider. Never did. That Friday, she stormed in while I was folding laundry. "Why's my phone off?" I looked up. Maybe the bill wasn't paid. She narrowed her eyes. "You pay the bills." I shrugged. "Not all of them." She stared at me for a beat, then laughed. "That's your move? Turning off my phone? What's next? Hiding the remote?" I didn't respond. Just kept folding her sweatshirt. The one I bought. The one she wore when she came home from seeing him. Over the weekend, I went further. I emailed her top 3 freelance clients using an anonymous address. Told them someone had submitted plagiarized content under her name and that it was being investigated. I didn't accuse her directly, just cast a little doubt. 2 of them froze her contracts by Monday. She spent the whole day pacing, calling from borrowed phones, yelling into her laptop. I watched from the kitchen, sipping tea, not saying a word. Then came the rent. It was due the next day. Normally, I paid it automatically, but I canceled the payment that morning. She came home that night to a notice taped to the door. "Your balance is past due. You have 5 days before penalties begin." She tore it down and stormed into the apartment. "What is this?" I stopped the autopay. I said, "I'm moving out." She blinked. "You're what?" "I gave my notice last week. Told the landlord it's just me on the lease. I'm out by the 28th. She stared at me like she couldn't compute the words. "You're leaving?" Just like that. "You said I was boring," I said. "I thought you'd be relieved." No, she muttered. starting to pace. You can't just leave. What am I supposed to do? I gave a sad little smile. Be free. Like him. She stopped cold. Her face twisted. You're doing this out of spite. I'm doing this, I said, because I finally believe you. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just stood there. For the first time since that alley behind our building, she looked small. Uncertain. I packed my bags that night. Didn't say much. She tried to throw little jabs. You'll be crawling back. You can't survive without me. No one's going to want a man like you. But her voice was shaky. By morning, I was gone. I left her the keys. Left the bed. Left the fridge empty. But I took the folder with me. The one with her client violations, her text screenshots, her unpaid taxes from last year. The first hit wasn't about noise. It was about silence. And the fear that comes with it. I underestimated her. I thought I'd won the first round. I thought walking out, cutting the power lines she fed on money, comfort, control, would knock the wind out of her. But she didn't panic. She adapted. It started 2 days after I moved into the studio apartment. A place so small I had to eat dinner on the same desk where I folded my socks. But I was proud of it. It was mine. Until I got a phone call from my bank. Mr. Harrow, we're calling to confirm your employment status. We received a request this morning to verify your income for a pending inquiry. I asked what kind of inquiry. Credit evaluation. For a joint loan application made in your name. I felt the blood drain from my face. She'd used my info. That night, I checked my credit report. There it was. An auto loan. A pre-approval pending my income verification. She was trying to get a car. Under my name. Using old tax documents from when we filed together. I froze all my accounts. Reported identity abuse. Took hours. Then came the emails. One from my boss. He forwarded a message from someone posing as an anonymous client, saying they were concerned about my mental health and inappropriate online behavior. The email claimed I'd been stalking an ex and possibly harassing her at work. Attached were vague screenshots, my name beside out-of-context comments, photos from my own public Instagram made to look obsessive. All of it fabricated, but it forced an HR review. My boss called me into his office the next day. Connor, is there something going on with you and Natalie? I wanted to say no. Wanted to keep it clean. But I saw the way he looked at me, half concerned, half calculating. Like he was deciding if I was worth the risk. I played it careful. Yes, there was a breakup. It's gotten messy. But I've done nothing wrong. I can prove it. I left that meeting feeling dirty. Powerless. She wasn't trying to win me back. She was trying to erase me. Then came the worst part. She posted a thread online. Some healing journey post about surviving emotional abuse. No names. But enough details to make sure people knew it was me. The comments flooded in. You're so brave. Men like that are cowards. Stay strong, queen. Friends unfollowed me. One of her old college friends messaged me directly. I always knew you were controlling. She deserves better. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I sat on my mattress on the floor, lights off, phone in hand, and scrolled through every lie she told. Every public stab. Every private twist of the knife. She was winning. Not with truth. Not with strength. With performance. She knew exactly how to make me look like the villain without ever saying my name. And I let her. I gave her that power by staying silent. By thinking I could just walk away and be left alone. That's when I knew. I'd have to go further. She burned my reputation. My job was now in question. My credit was under attack. I had nothing left to protect. Except the truth. And I had the proof. She forgot what I took with me. She wanted attention. So I gave her all of it. By then, I had every file in order. The screenshots of her calling clients idiots, mocking their resumes. The PDF invoices that didn't match the amounts on her taxes. Her notes on how to cheat hiring systems. Her full list of paid reviews for services she never delivered. All tied to her real name. Her real account. But I didn't send it to the police. Not yet. I sent it to LinkedIn. I used a burner account and submitted a complaint to every company she'd ever claimed to work with, tagging the fraud, the deception, the legal exposure. I attached documentation. Names. Dates. File paths. 2 of them removed her as a contractor within 24 hours. One sent back a vague, "We are investigating" response. Then I uploaded everything to a private blog. No names. No faces. Just a detailed breakdown of her entire scam operation. How she sold fake references, stole cover letters from Reddit, doctored portfolios, ghosted clients after payment. It was all written clean, professional, like a whistleblower report. Then I shared the link anonymously in every freelance and hiring forum I could find. It spread fast. On Wednesday night, I checked the traffic. Thousands of views. Dozens of comments. Half the posts were freelancers saying they recognized the behavior. A few even mentioned her by name. The next morning, she called me. I didn't answer. She messaged me. "Connor, what did you do?" I still didn't respond. Instead, I forwarded the folder to two of her biggest clients from the past year, the ones I knew had real money, real legal teams, real contracts. I attached a polite note. "This individual may have committed tax and contract fraud under your name. I thought you should be aware." By Friday, her Instagram went dark. Her post about healing from emotional abuse was deleted. Mutual friends started reaching out to me again cautiously, asking if I was okay, if I wanted to talk. I ignored them. She tried again. This time, she showed up at my apartment. She knocked for 10 minutes. I didn't open the door. Finally, she screamed, "Are you proud of yourself? You think you're a hero now? You think this makes you strong?" I sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, just listening. "You're still the same pathetic man," she shouted through the door. "You didn't fix anything. You just proved me right." Maybe she was right. Maybe I was still weak. But this time, her voice didn't break me. It bounced off the walls and died there. On Monday, I heard she'd taken her accounts offline. Her coaching platform was gone. Clients were demanding refunds. One threatened legal action. And still, I hadn't spoken a word to her. I let the truth do it for me. She humiliated me in an alley. I erased her in plain sight. I should have known she wouldn't stay down for long. The silence lasted a week. No messages. No knocks on my door. No social media activity. I thought it was over. I thought she'd slipped into the background of her own disaster. But then I got the letter. Certified mail. From a lawyer. At first, I thought maybe it was one of her former clients suing her and accidentally sending it to me. But no, this was for me. It was from her. Inside was a cease and desist. A formal demand that I immediately remove all defamatory content and cease all interference with Ms. Albright's business and reputation. It claimed I had manufactured a smear campaign, hacked her accounts, and stolen private data. She accused me of cyberstalking. She said I was harassing her. The irony made me nauseous. But it wasn't just a bluff. Attached to the letter was a notice of a pending civil suit. She filed a harassment claim, said I'd been impersonating her online, contacting her clients, and threatening her income. She even requested a temporary restraining order. She was using the same screenshots I'd taken, ones that she had written, and spinning them into private conversations I had manipulated. Her lawyer included a draft statement. My client fears for her safety and professional future due to her ex-fiancé's ongoing retaliation. And somehow, it worked. 2 days later, I was contacted by the police. Just routine questioning, they said. But the implication was clear. She'd filed a report. Claimed I'd gone from heartbroken to dangerous. I sat there in the station, explaining myself to a man who didn't care. He kept asking the same question. Why would she lie? Why would she lie? Because it worked last time. Because she knows how to look like the victim. Because no one expects a woman who writes about healing to be capable of calculated vengeance. She even reached out to my job again. This time, anonymously. She sent a copy of the legal letter to HR. That night, my boss asked me to take a week off, just to let things cool down. He said it wasn't a suspension, but I knew what it was. A test. Suddenly, the studio apartment I was proud of felt like a trap. I was stuck, hunted, labeled. She flipped the script, and I was now the villain. I sat there on the edge of the bed, looking at all the evidence I'd gathered, real evidence. But now it didn't matter. Not to the system, not to strangers. The facts were buried under her voice, her tears, her perfectly timed victim story. She'd taken everything and twisted it into a weapon. And now it was pointed at me. She thought the law was her shield. She thought a piece of paper and a few buzzwords could erase everything I had. She wanted the world to think I was a danger, a threat, a man spiraling into obsession. But she forgot one thing. She built her entire image on a lie. And I had the truth. I just hadn't used it the right way yet. So I shifted tactics. I stopped trying to fight her head on. The legal process would drag out for months. But the court of perception? That one moved fast. And she had a soft spot, a blind side. Her network, not her clients. Her fans. The community she cultivated, young women, struggling professionals, vulnerable people she claimed to mentor for free on her side account. Her whole healing coach inspirational goddess persona lived on Instagram, in the shadows, under a curated name she used to stay private. But she used the same profile photo from her old Facebook. It took me 5 minutes to find it. The account had 18,000 followers. Every post was dripping with fake vulnerability, pictures of tea mugs, rainy windows, recycled quotes like, "You owe no one your story," and even wildflowers bloom after fire. She posted about toxic men, emotional predators. Connor was never named, but he was there in every story, the fragile, obsessive fiancé who couldn't let go. I built a dossier. Screenshots from her burner accounts where she'd mocked her own followers. DMs where she gave advice that was straight-up manipulation. Anonymous feedback forms where people had paid her for emotional coaching and got ghosted. Then I reached out to 3 of her most vocal supporters. Not to attack her, but to ask questions. I posed as someone who was worried about her coaching methods. I attached some of the receipts. 2 ignored me. But the third? She cracked. She was a real person, early 20s, had paid Natalie $200 for a 6-week empowerment plan. Got 2 emails in silence. She posted a story about it. Then another girl messaged her. Then another. By Friday, the cracks were public. Not loud, but visible. Comments started appearing under her posts. Why did you block me when I asked for a refund? Still waiting on that coaching session from January. Is this really about healing or just business? Natalie tried deleting them, blocking users, but they screenshotted everything. They made a thread, a real one, with names, receipts, and patterns. And her followers turned. Slowly, reluctantly, but publicly. Because once a savior is questioned, the illusion dies fast. That weekend, she posted a teary video, rambling about misunderstandings, how certain people were attacking her from a place of unresolved pain, and that she needed space to recalibrate. Comments were off. Her website was taken down the next day. Her lawyer sent me another letter. This one was quieter. Less threats, more, "We'd like to propose a mutual non-disparagement agreement." I didn't respond. She built her safety net out of borrowed words and stolen trust, and I'd lit the match under it. Now it was starting to fall. It unraveled faster than I expected. By the end of the month, the harassment suit was dropped. Her lawyer stopped responding. The cease and desist? Forgotten. HR at my job finally closed the file and told me I could return to work, without concern, though the tone in their voice said you'll always be a question mark now. But the real blow came from somewhere else. She pivoted, deleted every trace of her self-help image, rebranded herself. New handle, new photo, new audience. And this time, she didn't play the victim. She played the survivor. Now she was the woman who lost everything to an abusive relationship and rose from the ashes. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. Her story was vague enough to protect her legally, but detailed enough for her new followers to cheer for her. And they did. Within weeks, she was back up, gaining traction, building courses again. But this time, it wasn't emotional coaching. It was resilience branding, personal narrative recovery, buzzwords, workshops, a soft-spoken podcast where she told sanitized half-truths in a whispery voice. And it worked. She got booked for a virtual panel on women's empowerment and crisis culture. An article in a digital magazine quoted her as a voice of perseverance in a toxic era. I watched it all unfold from my one-bedroom apartment, cold coffee in my hand, news alerts on my phone. Watching the same woman who laughed in my face after cheating with a man who lives behind a liquor store now be called inspiring. I had nothing left. No lawsuit. No media exposure. No proof the new account was hers. And she made sure to never connect her legal identity to her business again. It was all through shell emails, third-party payment processors, and fake LLC names. She'd learned. She adapted. She buried the mess under a clean layer of digital rebirth. Even her family started messaging me again. Not to offer support. To warn me. Let it go, Connor. Just move on. You'll never win with her. You're obsessed. That word again. I turned off my phone. Shut my laptop. For the first time in months, I felt tired in my bones. Not angry. Just done. She'd won. She rewrote the narrative. Left me in the footnotes. And then I got the package. No return address. Just a padded envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a USB drive. No label. No note. I didn't plug it in right away. I stared at it for a long time. I was afraid. Afraid it would be nothing. Or worse, something illegal that would trace back to me. But around 2 a.m., I couldn't resist. I plugged it into a burner laptop. There were 6 files, all video, hidden camera footage, grainy, but clear enough. Her voice, her face, her hands accepting cash, coaching someone on how to fake a medical exemption for a job, selling access to someone else's hiring portal, bragging about gaming the system on a Zoom call with a private Discord group. And the final video? Her, laughing, saying my name. He still thinks he's the hero. Per Connor. I could destroy him with one email. I leaned back in the chair. My heart was pounding, because now I had everything. The proof, the fraud, the confession, and a link between her real name and her fake brand, clear as day in the metadata of the screen recording. But I didn't send it. Not yet. Because she didn't know I had it. Not yet. I stared at the screen for hours. The footage was enough to ruin her. Not just her image. Her livelihood. Her legality. The Zoom clip alone showed her selling access to a federal hiring portal using someone else's credentials. That was fraud. Felony level. Add the fake coaching, the tax issues, the identity links. I could bury her. I drafted the email. Multiple, actually. One to the IRS. One to the Department of Labor. One to a tech journalist who'd written a glowing piece about her resilience. All I had to do was hit send. It was quiet in my apartment. No music. No distractions. Just the sound of my own breath and the weight of what was about to happen. But before I could move, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Please. I know what you have. I'm outside. I froze. Got up slowly. Looked through the peephole. It was her. Knees on the doormat. Hood pulled low. Shaking. I didn't open the door. I waited. She knocked once. Then just spoke softly through the wood. Connor, I know I don't deserve anything. I know I ruined everything. I know you hate me. But please, just give me 5 minutes. I need to tell you something. I didn't answer. She stayed there. People are dropping me, she said. Someone leaked that video. The coaching group is gone. The money stopped. One of the girls threatened to press charges. I've already had a call from a compliance officer. She sniffled. I know it was you. I know you're the only one smart enough to do it right. Silence. Then, you win. You finally win. Just please, don't send the last video. Please. That one will finish me. I still didn't open the door. But I listened. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she whispered. Connor, I'm scared. I don't know what happens to me if this goes public. I have nothing left. You were right. I lied to everyone, even myself. I burned everything good that ever touched my life. Then her voice cracked. But you were the only person who ever saw me and stayed. That broke something in me. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying for herself. For what she lost. For who she could have been if she hadn't fed on control. And yet, I opened the door. She looked up at me, eyes wet, face pale. She didn't say another word. Just knelt there, hands clasped like a child begging for mercy. I looked down at her. The drive was still in my pocket. My finger hovered over the button. I could have destroyed her. Legally. Financially. Completely. But I didn't. Not because she deserved mercy. But because I needed peace more than revenge. So I said the only thing left to say. What would you do in my place?